we get an early start here. Uh, I just want to welcome everybody who's out there looking at us. Uh, Mr. Harvey, you want to go
Well, good
because I
afternoon,
didn't.
good evening, everyone, or good morning, whenever you get a chance to look at us. Today's topic, my topic, is about urban development. And I've been thinking about this topic for a while. And if you've been to a number of cities, you have to realize that urban cities are not what they used to be. You know, what they are now is big high rises in downtown. They are most people live outside of downtown. Very few people live downtown. And if you do live downtown, you live in a high rise condominium. And I can only tell you what here in Tampa, and I've been here for almost 30 years. Downtown has a number of condominiums and high rises for corporations. Same thing in Chicago, same thing in Dallas, same thing, different places in these big cities. And what is going on is that they are taking the developments for residential property outside of downtown, and they're building new developments because a lot of those buildings that are still there that are residential are very, very old. Some of them as many as 70, 80 years old. They've just been revitalized. And one thing that I've found out, and I've been knowing this for a while, is that you have these management companies, real estate as well. You have these companies like BlackRock. Uh, you have Blackstone and a few others in top real estate that owns thousands of residential property, and they use them as rentals. They pay for them. They have developers build a section of 200, 300 homes, and they rent most of them out. And they overcharge because there's a program that they have now. A lot of them, they buy these apartment complexes as well, 10-story, 20-story, 50-story, uh, 50 apartments in one complex, and they rent those out. So
Got a
they have a
question.
yes.
Got a question. Who
Mhm.
is Blackstone?
Blackstone is a group that is an asset manager. Assets manage. They manage um, hundreds of thousands of clients, and their clients look for 10, 15%
Now
return on their dollar.
let me tell you who when you mentioned Blackstone, who I thought about back in 4 or 5 years ago. Blackstone used to be the company and stuff who had all of these military contracts. Are these the same people?
No, no.
Okay,
You're thinking about another company. I know what company you're talking about, but that's not Blackstone.
okay. That's I was just checking. Go ahead.
Okay. And what they do is they buy, is one real estate company that I just checked into, it had 85,000 pieces of property. Now, what they have come to, there's a hot website that do, what they call it, uh, uh, when they be able to do algorithms, and they can tell what people are paying for the property, and then what they can do is they can set those properties up all of them be the same. So it used to be when people was renting an apartment and the rent goes up, some people say, okay, well, it's $200 more a month. I'm gonna move somewhere else
Mm-hmm.
where it can be cheaper. Well, you go to that same place and it's the same price.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that right there is that's not competition. So right now the FBI is looking into all of these different properties, which they should have been doing years ago, because what they're doing is they're pricing people out of apartments or gouging people for these properties. Now, we live in a free society, and people was able to buy property. It used to be back in the 80s and 90s, that was the hot thing. People be buying properties, you'll run into people that own 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 pieces of property,
Mm-hmm.
and they just rent them out. Well, when that 2008 hit, a lot of people lost a lot of property,
Mm-hmm.
and property was available, thousands and thousands of pieces of property. And so companies like Blackstone went and purchased all of these properties. Once they got through buying that, they said, we need more property. They started going to the development. They started buying land, and then they started negotiating with the local government to get the okay. And that's why in certain areas, and I'm sure our listeners are aware of this, all of a sudden you got 200 homes in a new development. And you'd be wondering, where's all this money coming from? Where's all these people getting this money from? Building all these homes. Well, it's not the development people that's doing it and buying it. It's company these asset management companies are doing it. The real estate companies are doing it. Major real estate companies are doing this. So what they're doing is they're raising the price, not necessarily the property, but they're raising the price of rent. And so therefore, because they don't really want to sell you the property, they want to just rent it out. And they've come to believe that, hey, I know I have a certain amount of money coming in every month because I'm renting these homes out or I'm renting these apartments out. So therefore, I'm making money because number one, it's already paid for because they didn't pay for it flat out, or maybe did a nice little loan, a low interest loan on it. So they're ahead of the game. Plus, they get so many write offs because of it. So now, and going back to the development, when when I was a kid living in Chicago, we didn't have we lived in apartments all in Chicago all the time. Now, in the 50s, there were a lot of homes in Chicago, a lot of homes. Because my grandmother, she had a home in Chicago in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Nice little house on State Street and a bunch of row of houses. And what they did was they bought her out. And what did they do with that property? They bought everybody out on the 55th Street, bought them all out. And they built projects. But now in the community where I lived, there were businesses all over the place, black businesses,
Mm-hmm.
cleaners, barbershops, retail stores, restaurants, all over. And that right there was developing your community or your neighborhood where people can shop right there. You didn't have to go downtown to Chicago to go shop. You didn't have to. We had a place what we called Jewtown. We didn't have to go to Jewtown to shop. We can buy all our clothes right there in our neighborhood. We get our hair cut. If women want to get their hair done, all that stuff was right there in our neighborhood. Now they have built so many developments and ran people out of certain areas. They're either in apartments or they're in these new developments. And what they did was, if you ever notice that if you go down certain major streets, thoroughfares, there's rows of businesses. So this was the game plan. So now, if you wanted a business now, you couldn't do it in your neighborhood. You have to rent $3,000, $4,000 space to have your business. Well, back in the day, you had people that had lived on top of the business, and they had a business downstairs. Those days are over. So the community right now, when we say black community, there is no such thing as a black community now. Might be a lot of black people living in the community, in the neighborhood, but there is no community because there's no economics. And the reason why you don't have economics is because you don't have businesses to support the community. And those people that had those businesses, they lived in the neighborhood. So now the thing is, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, where's the movement going? Where's the thing going? That's the reason why a lot of people, now, when you say a lot, as far as I'm concerned, it's a lot. A lot of people are homeless now because they can't afford to rent. A lot of people are getting evicted because rent is constantly going up. When you live on a fixed income, if people live on a fixed income, or you can be living a certain salary every month, you working, but you can't afford to rent. Well, it's the same thing that's happening when it comes to food buying. Now, I'm gonna use this for example. I'm from old school. I can remember I used to go get. I like beans and rice, and usually I'm either putting ham hocks or neck bones in my beans, and I can get that for $2-3 a pack. Now they cost $11 a pack. That's price gouging. So, and because they know that certain people is going to get those type of products. So now what I'm saying is that the neighborhood, the community is being priced out. So there is no black neighborhood. Now, there are communities that have come together and they have organizations to keep their community, like the Italian community. You have neighborhoods of that sphere. You have Vietnamese communities. You have German communities, all of those. But the thing is, when it comes to what we call as black people, they have come in and different nationalities or companies to come in and they will open up shops and they're not in the neighborhood. So the neighborhood or the community is not bringing in any income or support. All they're doing is giving their money to another community or another different businesses, not giving it to the black businessman. And the same thing when it comes to, it used to be that you paid your rent to the black owner who owned the apartment building. They no longer own the apartment building. Somebody else does. So these people are making billions and billions of dollars, and there's no strategy, there's no plan, there's no communications, and there are people that's out there that's trying to do those things, but it's so difficult. People don't understand because everybody's trying to live from day to day, week to week, month to month to try to survive. But sometimes you have to sit back and say, I have to be vulnerable because I only make so many dollars and I need help. And the way you get help is forming your group of people or organization to keep your community intact. And so our development, urban development, is pretty much done. We're done. There is no way that we can recover from this unless we have capital.
I have a question I need to ask you here. I've been listening to you for 14 minutes talk about urban development, what's going on, Blackstone, BlackRock, and and I want to let you know that I went back and looked at it. The company used to be called BlackRock, and they broke off from each other and everything, and that's how Blackstone came about. The two founders of BlackRock broke away, and one of them took Blackstone, the other one took BlackRock, and
That's correct.
they deal in they deal in a lot of commercial, mostly commercial real estate, and now they are easing over into a lot of residential real estates and everything.
That's
But
correct.
BlackRock, I guess, is probably the biggest real estate holding companies and stuff in the world, according to what they're saying here in Google. But anyway, I have an interesting take and stuff on this. Ted. I asked myself after I saw your agenda to come across here about, and I kind of figured you were going to head toward your ending part that you just came here about what's going on in our community. And I was getting ready for you, and as I was taking my walk today and stuff in the rain, it dawned on me that actually ask this question: do the community really want to be in charge of themselves? Do our community really want to be where they will be able to gain generational wealth? Does our community, does the urban, most of the urban community that you're talking about, do they really want this? That's my question. Do they really want it? Have you heard of anybody in our community and stuff say, I want to own a store here? I want to own apartment buildings here.
Well, the big talk for the last 10 years is generational wealth.
Hmm.
And a lot of these people are copycatting off of millionaires. Generational wealth is, like I said, is you have your money, certain percentages broken off in different investments. Some stock, real estate, bonds, all that kind of stuff. Um, the, so what you're saying is generational wealth. You're talking about passing it on to your kids and your
No,
kids' kids.
I'm speaking of, well, I use general wealth and stuff there for a reason because in the past, uh, our parents and always, and we've always thought that we wanted to have some wealth that we can pass on to our children, to our offspring, and that generational wealth back then came from owning your own home. That's where most of our wealth and stuff was at in our homes, because most of our communities and stuff could not attain wealth in the stock market. They could not, attain wealth in other places and buying mutual funds and all this other stuff because we were just barely being able to make it. And taking care of our children and making sure they were fed, making sure they had a roof over their head, and making sure they went to school and had education. The only thing that we could do it after that was to own our own home. The cars couldn't have been a generational wealth because they break down and stuff real fast. So the generational wealth came from owning your own home. And as you were talking about that back in the urban areas and stuff, especially up in the northern part of the country and everything, people would come from the south. They would come and they would buy buildings, or they would come into a place and they would buy it, and they would own a store, a local store, and they would live upstairs and the store was downstairs. So once they own that property and everything, that's where most of that money and stuff came from. But now we're seeing that in here in the 21st century, that's not happening and stuff. Most of we, like you were saying, most of our children and stuff cannot afford to buy a piece of property because they're not getting that income that's coming in to be able to afford to buy a piece of property. So my point and stuff and everything throughout this whole thing and everything is that I haven't seen anyone within our communities. You look all around in LA, Chicago, New York, Tampa, Atlanta. I haven't seen people in the urban areas and stuff and everything because most of our wealth and stuff now is outside the urban areas, inside the cities, because we can't afford to be in the cities because of people like Blackstone. They come in and they suck up all the air and stuff in there. And then the other um, ethnic groups and stuff, man, most of you we're talking about the Indians, the Asians and stuff, they come in and they create their own stores. And just like you said, they don't live in the area. They just got their stores and stuff sitting there. And we are patronizing their stores. We are giving them our money. But I don't see anyone in our community and stuff who have risen up and said, I want to own something here in the city so I can have my people buying from me. I haven't seen it. So let me know if you've seen it. So, because I have not seen it. So this
Well,
conversation and stuff.
I wasn't really speaking up for, or I was just stating the facts is that we're in a new paradigm as far as wealth. And, you know, and, wealth, that's here and there, that's not the issue. The issue is that when I said black community, there was a black community. Everybody would sort of look out for each other, and we had black businesses in our community, and that was mostly back in those times in the 50s and early 60s. We basically, not necessarily segregated in Chicago, but we were segregated, and we could go anywhere and do anything. But the point was in Chicago. But the point was is that Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the country. We had Italian neighborhoods, we had uh, Latin neighborhoods, we had black neighborhoods, and that kind of thing in Chicago. However, what I'm saying is that we're in a new paradigm now because of people have come to believe that wealth is all of those things that I said earlier. Investing in government bonds, securities, stock market, real estate, and what have you. And so there is no sense of community now because the reason why is because we're mobile. If you are a professional person or even a skilled person, you can jump out of Chicago and go straight to California or go from California to go to Texas because you're taking your skill with you. You take your family with you and you go ahead on and you can move. And so we are a mobile community now. We'll stay somewhere for 2, 3 years and boom, we out of here. So the census stands someplace for 15, 20, 30 years. Those days is pretty much gone. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot. I hear a lot of people say that the black community, there is no black community anymore. There's a lot of black people that's renting and buying property and maybe they gathering together, but there's no black community. There are people that's trying to make it a black community and working to try to make it better in the neighborhood. But as far as overall, if you look at and you go down and you look at every city, the top 10 worst neighborhoods, all black and Latino.
So with this new paradigm that you were saying that is coming about, what is your solution? Everything to to have our community to become developed, because we still 13, 14% of the population. So hey,
I'm
uh,
glad you asked.
yeah. So
I'm glad you asked.
where we at? We
I'm
still have.
glad you asked. We
Go ahead.
as a people, and when I say we, I'm talking about these people that are highly more educated than myself and more experience. You know, I got a lot of experience in business, but not that complicated. And I'm sure that at one time I probably could have learned it or been able to pursue that. But right now, we live in a highly, highly complicated financial world, legally as well. And like I said, there are a lot of smart black people.
What's the
And
answer?
the reason why I say this, and this is my answer, we have to do the same thing. We have to set up our asset accounts, our equity accounts. And if our heart is in the right place, it ain't all about making 20% and 30%, making money and grossing money. What it is about community. If those companies will rise up and have investors into their company saying this is what we're doing. Now, there was a company right now called Fearless that just got sued for investing in nothing but, in black women's companies. They sued them. They said there was a form of discrimination.
I'm still trying to get an answer
I gave you the answer,
as
bro.
I
You might
did.
have
Well,
didn't like it, but I gave you the answer.
no, repeat it because I didn't understand. It
Okay,
went over
all
my
right, all
head.
right.
It went over
I'm
my
gonna break it
head.
down to
It went over
okay.
my head.
Take a company like Blackstone, who broke off from BlackRock.
Okay.
They mostly deal in the real estate management area.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, if you take a company and you say, okay, I'm gonna say Harvey, the Harvey Group,
Okay.
LP, limited partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I go around and I ask different entertainers, ball players, whoever got money. I need
Mm-hmm.
$1 million. I go around and I ask half of 500 people for $1 million, and I get the 500 million. And then I set it up where I can put it on the stock market. We're buying property, managing property. Now, what you do is you take that company, you don't rent it out, you have a small bank that can do loans, a subsidiary that do loans for people who are qualified to do, they can pay for their mortgage. And you go around and you buy homes and what have you, but you charge them a fair rate and not try to dupe them and what have you. And that's how you build your community. And then that community, within that community, those people that's buying those homes, they're going to usually stay there 5 to 7, 10 years or longer. And you build a community from that way, and you just do that from every city, on and on. That's how you do it because number one, you keep the riffraff out. People that come in there, the real estate brokers that try to come in there and try to take over the homes. You already own the home. No, we're not selling it to you. Not for sale. That's
And
how you build. That's what they're doing, bro.
but
That's what they're doing.
this
That's the same. What they're doing is just that.
but what going over my head and stuff, Ted, is that you were saying that they can the the folks in our community in the urban area can go and buy stock and all the other stuff. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is they get on the stock market.
Okay. Oh, start right there. If you've got 80, maybe even higher than that percentage, the people who are still living in those urban areas, and these people are living paycheck to paycheck. They cannot afford to go and
Now,
buy
so there
stock.
you go. You're saying they can't afford it.
They can't
They got to
afford it.
afford something.
They can't
They got to
afford it
afford
because they
something. They
got to
got to
eat.
afford
They got
rent.
to eat. But tell you, if most of them, and if you poll those folks and stuff in their community, and I can, and I'm a proponent and stuff of being able to go out and do what you're talking about doing, getting stocks and all this other stuff and doing that. But you've got people who are living paycheck to paycheck. That means that they can't even deal with their basic living,
Well, see,
eating, putting a roof on your head because you just said that BlackRock,
see.
the Blackstone that came in and jacked up the rent, so they can't afford to pay that. They can't afford to have a car so they can go to work, and they're barely able to put clothes on their
Well,
children's
you can
back.
look at it that
So
way. You can look at
where?
it that way, or you look at there are a number of I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know what black people you run into, but I run into a
Oh man, I
lot of
ran to a lot
successful.
of them. I see a
I
lot
run
of
into
them.
a lot of successful black people. A lot
I
of
do
successful
too.
black,
I do too. But
and
they're
they make a
also
lot of money. A lot of,
uh,
I mean, when I say a lot of money, I don't call $70,000 a lot of money, but what I'm saying is when you talking about a two income household, that's over 80, 90, $100,000 plus. So the point is that there are a number of black people that live in that area that can afford. Now the thing is that the homes that are what are really the homes valued at. Now you can go into Chicago right now and buy a house for $20,000.
where is that at? In the city of Chicago, you can buy a house for twenty
Yes.
thousand dollars.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man,
There's a
oh
lot of
no,
homes that's worth $20,000, $35,000.
man, no, no.
You
You
might not
talking
want to
about
live
you
in that
talk.
neighborhood though.
I don't believe you can buy a home in the ghetto for $20,000 or $30,000 because
Well,
it's
what I mean
I-
by that is, I can tell
unless
you from experience.
it's probably
I
a
have a
rat trap.
sister.
It needs a lot of work done to it or whatever and stuff. And you paying $20,000 for a shell, no windows
But
in the
we're
place,
getting
no
off track
nothing.
here. We're getting off track. What
No,
I'm
we
saying
are.
is, what I'm saying is this. All I'm saying is that when you have a management team, several management teams across the country, and if you're looking at 10 cities, and if you look, and I've done the research already, the top 10 worst communities or neighborhoods, I should say, are all black and brown.
Okay. And I go back to what I was just saying. These folks in these communities
And
that
there's
you're
a reason
talking
for that.
about, and they aren't making a living wage to take care of themselves. And I'm okay with where I live at, but I have people who rent out my property. I have a home and stuff, other places and stuff and everything. And I'm telling you, Ted, these people are living paycheck to paycheck, and they are struggling. And that's why a lot of homeless people are coming up, and that homeless population is not going down. It is getting larger every day because most of those
Well,
people
let me ask you a
cannot
question.
afford. Go ahead.
Let me ask you a question.
I'm listening.
When Blackstone rents out a piece of property, what do they ask for? All your financials.
If they do what now?
They ask you for all your financials.
Right. Go ahead.
How
Yeah.
long have you been working at your job?
Right.
All of those things.
Yep.
Have you been living in your present neighborhood for resident for more than 2 years?
Right. That's
And
part of
those
the
people,
application. That's part of the application process.
yeah,
Right. Go ahead.
there are different things that's going on. I mean, President Biden just said if you're a first time homeowner, he already gave you a $10,000 head start. So all I'm saying is that there are different programs that are available for people where things are affordable. I'm not saying these have to be luxury homes, man. That's $500,000, $600,000. You
Oh
know,
no. I wasn't
what
even
I'm
talking
saying
about
is
that.
these homes are valued properly, and the neighborhoods are good and clean and what have you, and they can be worth 150, 75, 200,000, 225, and those people are grateful for that home and they're gonna take care of it and they make enough money and what have you. Now things do happen. We know that. People lose their jobs or whatever things stuff like that happens. But I'm not what I'm saying is that there are a number of people who are out there who's looking for a home that right now they're paying so many dollars and they want a home and they're paying that money to renters and they've been paying it for years. Me, I don't want no home. I'm happy renting. But I would love to have a farm. I would love to have a farm. Give me 50 acres, 100 acres. I would love to have a farm.
but you are capable, Ted, of being able to sustain that $200 a year rent increase that you're going to get from Blackstone. But when you are when you are on an income where you are already paycheck to paycheck, and Blackstone says, I'm going to increase your rent another $100. Well, I'm gonna look him in the face and say, hey man, I'm barely able to pay what you asking me now. There's no way that I can pay you. And so those are the folks that are sitting out there on those streets in the tents. And the other ones who are sitting, still being able to pay the rent for their home or their apartments and stuff that they have, they can't afford to save not one penny to buy a home because most people
Well,
go
like I
out for.
said, Ed, that right there is almost like, you know, the thing is, I used to work for the bank, and therefore, we had to fill out an application,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't even have to say that you didn't qualify because the computer will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So the
And there
bottom line
there are a
is
lot
that
of them
you
out
have
there.
qualified buyers.
Well, where they at? Most of those qualified buyers is living in the suburbs, and they've already bought their
Well,
home
that's your
already.
opinion.
Yeah,
That's your
but
opinion. That's what you say.
I'm talking about the urban areas where
I'm
we
just telling
saying
you, I've met too many people,
in the
too many
urban area,
people,
in the urban
too
area,
many people that qualify,
in the
and
urban
it's just
area.
a matter of being treated fairly and what have you, and not gouging prices. And right now, they gouge prices in certain neighborhoods, and even right now, they didn't already said almost 60% of the people in this country is living from paycheck to paycheck.
Hmm. They are,
So, so what? That's what people do nowadays.
but if your paycheck is not taking care of your basic living, then you
Well, that's
can't.
another incident. That right there is a whole
Yeah,
different animal. What I'm
yeah.
saying is qualified people, if you qualify, because number one, when you do a analysis of a person, you do debt to ratio. You know that.
Hmm.
And you say, well, what's your debts? What's your
Debt,
expenses? All of that. And so you
Right.
know, okay, this is a
Your
certain
your
percentage of this
debt
and that, blah blah blah.
is
You know all of that.
your debt to income ratio has to be within a
Yeah,
certain
there you
parameter
go. All of that is all of
before the
that is
bank,
included.
yeah,
Those analyses are done.
before the banks say that.
So therefore, what you're doing is you're looking for qualified people who qualify, and those people that qualify. Those people that don't qualify, no need to apply. And you know, you have people that come in all the time. You know, if you just got out of high school, man, and now you're going to college, or maybe you just got out of high school and you're only 18 and you got you a decent job, and you say, "Well, I don't want no home right now. I just want to rent." 2 or 3 years later, I want a home. So that's the way that works. I mean, things turn over, turn over, turn over. We live in a paradigm society. So all I'm saying is, in order to get that community back to where it should be, is that when you have a fair, equitable equity company that are doing these things for the community. And it don't have to be for just black people, it can be for anybody. But most of it is going to be for black people.
People of color. That's all you gotta say. That people of color,
Well,
because
whatever.
you did throw in our brown brothers and sisters also in that
Yeah, and for white
earlier
folks
and
too.
stuff
This
and
ain't no
everything
racial thing, but most
that they are
most white
that
folks
they
don't
are.
want to live around the majority of black people.
Yeah, well, that's another story too.
You know, if it's only two or three of y'all, you know, they're okay with that, but don't let it be more than five or six.
When I saw your agenda item come through uh, in my text message, my first thing was when you said urban communities and stuff and everything. My first thing was people of color and what they're doing in the urban areas. And that's why I brought up the fact and everything that most of them are living paycheck to
Man, we
paycheck
done
and they
went 10 minutes
can't
over this segment here.
afford. But that's why I'm just telling you why when I saw it, that's what I thought. And
Okay, what's your
I'm
subject, bro?
and I was just telling
We
you
can
that
always
that
come
was
back to
my.
this. Urban
Yeah,
renewal is always a
I
fallback.
know it. But I just want you to know why I brought that up and everything because my mind was telling me that we talking about paycheck to paycheck folks. But if you had a did a little more clarification and stuff on it, I would have known that hey, we talking about folks and stuff and everything that are trying to afford to either stay there in the ghetto or stay there in the urban area. But like I said, most of them, the folks and stuff who can afford it, man, they done got the heck out of the urban area, Chicago, in those cities and stuff, and they're going to the suburbs. But anyway, I didn't have a whole lot to say, Ted. That's why I kept on with your conversation and stuff that you were talking about and everything, because I didn't have a topic there because I was the thing that we did the other day and everything, it took my whole mind and stuff and everything, and I still have not gotten over the fact and everything that we're in a political climate and we're seeing a lot of people and stuff are upset with my president, and I don't like it.
Well,
I'm
and,
upset,
and and that's
man.
been going on for
And,
a week, bro.
and I'm
For a
reading
week.
it, and I'm reading it every day, and I don't, and I try to avoid those objects and stuff and everything. So I've been looking at other things and stuff and trying to focus on other things because it's pissing me off and everything that I'm seeing this and stuff happen. And I'm sitting here. If we don't do something and stuff real quick and come together, we're going to bring forth a downfall. And oh,
And
yellow hair,
that's because the
orange hair,
analysis people are saying.
oh, yellow hair, orange hair, whoever he is going to ease himself right back in to that place over there in D.C. And we're going to be in one heck of a daggone
It's
trouble
gonna
and
be a
stuff
mess,
here.
bro.
And each day that this thing goes by, the the thing that we're going to have an orange hair in the White House, that thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I have no idea and stuff what's going to happen and stuff right now. But the longer we keep on in that trend and stuff of saying we're going to take this man out, and he's already said I ain't going nowhere. So I don't understand what the problem is. And I hate to see this thing happen to us and stuff in our country because you've got you got the other side and stuff and everything, and they are sending lockstep behind a felon, and they don't care.
Or rapists,
They don't care about what he done or whatever. They're standing
or
with him.
crook,
They're standing with him.
a
And
tax
I was
evader.
I was hoping that no matter what the heck happened, that we would stay together because I was looking at his downfall because of the internal turmoil that is going on there in the Republican Party that we are not seeing. There's turmoil and stuff there, but we are creating more turmoil and stuff within ourselves, and we cannot get out of this if we don't get out of this turmoil here and get back to the business of trying to elect someone to be the president. It's
Well, here's my thing. This is what I think. This is my own opinion. You, the political know it all. I don't, I read stuff, I try to analyze it. But when you still have the Obama people, you still have the Hillary people, you still have the Bernie Sanders people, and then you have people that are for these other parties. And they can lie and call in and say that they, whatever, say all kinds of things because they're against the Democratic Party, And then you have these so-called far left people who have their own agenda. And they weren't happy with Mr. Biden either. So you got all of this division, but that's what the Democratic Party is all about. All the mismatch and stuff, Ed. You know that.
but I
But the
understand.
thing,
But I understand, Ted, about that. I understand that there's a difference. That there are some things that he has done we don't like, and I can understand that. I can understand that there's a difference and stuff going on there, and that there's a big difference going on there. I can understand that there's a difference going on with the Republican Party and stuff and everything, that there's internal stuff. But when you just completely say that I got to, you you play the game with what you brought. We brought an 80-year-old man into the presidency, and you backed him up 4 years ago. You backed him up and said, okay, because really in 2020, I didn't really back Biden up that strong and everything, but the Democratic Party just took on that banner and said we're going to push this man on through because they didn't like the other candidates and stuff and everything, so they pushed him on through. So when they pushed him on through, Ted, fine, then we got to go. I got to go with him because they got him on through. But the man is done now and everything, and you're gonna just take him and dump him halfway. I, and I'm going back. I didn't like him in 2020. I didn't really want him as my candidate and stuff. But when the party said, "Hey, we're gonna push this man on through, we're gonna get him over this hump," fine, I voted for him.
here's the thing that I don't like. When President Biden said that he's going to run again and people disagreed, they did a primary, should have been a debate. Where were the other people that want to be president? There were none. if you want to be president so bad, whoever you are, you should have stepped
You
up to the plate
should
and
have
said, we
stepped
want
up
a
and
debate because
ran.
we don't think blah, 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 blah. There were no people there
Absolutely.
to debate the man.
Absolutely.
He went through the whole primary without one debate. He
None.
just, his name
He
was
was
on the ballot and
nobody,
boom.
nobody said no, we don't want him. They knew then he was 80 years old.
Thank you. Thank you. So
You
I'm
knew
trying to figure
then.
out what is they what is they the only thing that I can say is this is my just now I might be wrong on this. They want Trump to win.
Could
I'm talking
be.
about those people that's coming against
It
him
could. It
because
could
number
be.
one, you know
It
this
could.
the guy, the big senator that's I can't think of his name now. It just crossed my mind. I think he's in Virginia somewhere.
Oh,
That man's a
Mark Warner.
multi-millionaire, bro.
Mark Warner. Well,
Yes.
I don't.
And he seemed like a nice guy, but he is a multi-millionaire. He's looking at his tax dollars.
I hope what you said, Ted, is not true. I'm hoping that what you said is not true. I hope that it's not true. I really do. I hope that that is not true. That their purpose in this whole mess is to get this hair Simon Gunn, this orange hair
Tax
Simon Gunn
dollars,
elected.
man.
I hope that ain't that's not what's going on. I really do. I really hope that that's not what they're
I don't
thinking.
think a lot of these politicians, man, because they are already secure, bro. When you're a multimillionaire, you can hire security all over the place, and you're not even going and socializing with these people. You go out to a 10-star restaurant and all that kind of stuff, and you got your own country club, and you got your own yacht and all that. You know, you got your private jet.
Oh,
They don't care.
we're probably talking about it. You I think you're talking about the gentleman from West Virginia, not Virginia, right?
Warner, you mentioned his name,
Mark Warner, the one from Virginia.
Mark Warner.
Oh, okay,
He's
because he was
big time talking about Trump should sit down.
right. He's big time, but I can't imagine this man doing that and stuff,
He
Ted. I
seemed
really
like a
can't.
nice guy. What other reason why?
I really can't. I really can't imagine him doing it for that reason.
I have never
Now,
seen him come against a Democrat before. And now
I
maybe
think I think Ted, when you have fear, you let fear overwhelm good judgment, and sometimes we can't. Well, most of the time, you cannot let fear overcome good judgment, and that's one thing that if and most people who are in the military will tell you and stuff when you are there and you going through training and stuff. Part of that training and stuff is for you to throw fear by the wayside, because if you don't do that, you're going to make bad judgment calls. So you have to keep your head clear no matter what. And I think that's where we're at and stuff now. And some of them are we gotten fear and it's overcome good judgment. You have to look down the road and stuff and everything and say, hey, if I don't rode this sway back horse this far, then I got to keep riding that sucker until he fall down on his face and everything. And then I'm gonna try to get him up and prop him on through. And I don't think that a lot of those people and some of these, there's a couple of billionaires and stuff that said the same thing. I'm not going to give money to the Democratic Party and stuff until Biden quits. The man already told you he ain't quitting. But we we need to have somebody, I don't know whether it was Obama or whoever, need to come forth and have a heart to heart discussion with these folks and stuff and everything and say, hey, we got to have a come to Jesus moment and do that and get themselves together and say, hey, this man said you're going to do this and everything. We got to back him up. We ain't got no other choice here. because imagine the turmoil that's going to come, Ted, if you push this man out. I can't even imagine the turmoil. It will
Well,
be devastating. You
yeah,
talking about,
because number one, he has, and I'm just saying, he has like 90% black female vote. That's already given because he's already said that if you give him the House, you give him the Senate, he's going to overturn that. And the only thing is that he has said that he wasn't agreeable to is adding three more justices.
well,
He's got to do that.
not really. He doesn't have to, not really. You can still rein them in and not have those other justices up there. It can still be reined in.
You got to have the House though, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That if he does get the House, you just said if he gets the House and he gets the Senate and everything, he's not going to add three more justices and stuff on to he won't back that up. But I don't think that he's going to have much of a choice and stuff if both the houses belong to Democrats and they decide and the leadership decides that's what they want to do. Or and the Senate decides that's what they want to do. I don't think he has a choice if they say that this is what they're going to do. But I still think that they can rein in the Supreme Court and everything and do what they need to do and everything to them and not have to add those other three Supreme Court justices and stuff that they're talking about. Uh, legislatively, they can do that because they are the people, and the Supreme Court is there to serve the people. So the people can turn around there and make them have and put some ethical laws on them and say, hey, this is a form of ethics and stuff. You guys can't do this, and we're going to stop you from doing that. If you don't want to ring it in yourself and have some ethics laws and stuff, we're going to give them to you. That will slow them down once they understand that. And now there's going to be a big fight there, but they can slow them down. And I think by at that point in time and stuff that they win, and there are other ways and stuff of doing that, reining them in. They can control their budget and stuff and everything. Say you can't have but so much money. As legislative branch of government can do that. You don't want to do this, we're gonna cut your budget. This
Oh,
is
well, they
and
care.
but
They don't
nobody has
care.
done that. Huh?
They ain't following the Constitution no way. Well, they
I'm
care.
talking I'm talking about their budget. That means that they have law clerks that are coming in. If you can't pay your law clerk and everything to come in, you can't put
They
forth
don't
a
care,
decision.
bro.
Yes, they do. I'm telling you, they do that. You're gonna care if somebody comes in and cuts your daggone budget. Now, you're talking about they can get monies and stuff for themselves. Ain't nowhere in the world that they gonna take that money that these folks is giving them and pay for their daggone law clerks when the government's supposed to be doing that. They're not gonna do that. That's not gonna happen.
But like I
that ain't gonna
said, they're
do it.
not following the law no way, bro.
Well,
They making laws.
right, because they are Supreme Court,
Supreme Court
and
don't
they
make
do.
laws.
Yes, they do. They
No, they don't.
interpret the laws. They are interpreting the law in their own mind. They are interpreting what the law says, and we're going by their interpretations. So, getting back to our Democratic folks and stuff and everything. Like I said, I am pissed off Ted. I just can't deal with this stuff and everything. Somebody got to help me. Please, some of you viewers out there, help me. Help this brother because I can't deal with this.
No, this is serious. This I don't understand.
I- I- and
This
somebody,
is very, very serious because when this 2025, this right here, hey, this is gonna be an ongoing thing, man. They already invested $20 million. You got billionaires that's trying to change this whole system. How you gonna get rid of FDA? Why would you get rid of FDA? People that's looking, that's supposed to take care of your food. EPA. How you get rid of that kind of stuff, bro? And we have science people, people that are career science people, career people. Yeah, a lot of them are paper shufflers, but a lot of people they study this stuff their whole life. This is their life.
I don't think that, like you said earlier about the Supreme Court might not caring about them cutting their budget and stuff and everything because and I can look at this with those people who are sitting out there who are throwing money and stuff trying to win the election. They have a one track mind that this is for as long as it helps them out, they don't care about those middle class and upper middle class folks. We don't care about them as long as it takes care of me. That's the only thing I care about. And we have gotten to that point in this country there where there is a large polarity. I'm not going to say majority. I'm going to say polarity of folks that think who are billionaires and who are getting into that billionaire class who think that way. I don't
And
care about them. I
the
don't care
reason why
about my housekeeper. I don't care about my gardener. I don't care about the person who fixed my car.
you know the reason why these billionaires are giving all this money. They don't want regulations.
Same
That's the
thing.
bottom line. They don't want regulations. They want to be able to do whatever they want. If I want to go dump some
Toxic
chemicals
waste.
in the river,
Mhm. It's okay that my
because it's
company
cheaper,
can, because it's
because they got all kind of rules right now.
in the name of profit. I want to put more money in my pocket.
There
And
you
if
go.
once you become a billionaire and stuff and everything, why would you want more money? You don't need it. You got enough money to last you your lifetime and your children's lifetime. Why would you need more money? But that's the way it is here. That's how this country has moved into. Was moved into that to where the more money you got, the better off you are, and you're going to try to get more and more and more and more. The more money you get, the more money you want. So anyway, we are way over, Ted. We are 3 minutes past our time here, and I'm gonna come up with an agenda for Tuesday and everything. Don't worry about it. And it's gonna be dynamite. Yeah,
If you say so.
it's gonna
If
be
you say
dynamite.
so.
It's gonna be dynamite. I
Because I
got some.
enjoy myself. I want to
I
go
got
deeper into that,
yeah. I
into the
did too.
urban thing, but that's okay. We did
We
enough.
could have. We could have. That's why you stopped me. Yeah, I would try to take that. Go ahead on. You said no, 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 no. You pushed me on into my side. So
But we can
anyway,
always go back to that.
I know, because we talked about that quite a bit already. But I got some stuff to talk about. Hopefully, when we come back on Tuesday and stuff, clear heads will have prevail, and we can get ourselves back onto the track and get that train to rolling again. Next, this coming Tuesday, Ted, I would like to talk about Pete Buttigieg, transportation secretary.
Ooh, okay.
For
He on
two
the job,
reasons.
bro. He on the job.
Yeah, I know. For two
Big
reasons.
time.
For two reasons, I want him because of what he's doing now as Secretary of Transportation, and for him as a person and stuff and everything, where he came from. As you know, he's the mayor of what's this town in South Bend, Indiana, or something, and what's going on and stuff with him and everything, and how he's been able to, man, this guy has overcome a lot of stuff.
Cleaned up the airline.
Yeah, he's overcome a whole lot of stuff, man. He quietly has became a force there that even the Republicans and stuff can't rein him in. They've been trying, but old Petey boy, he tough, man. I'm telling
Sharp
you,
guy.
I
He's a
like him.
sharp
I
guy.
like him. I like it, man. I don't
He's
like
a
him. I
sharp
don't
guy.
care. I don't care, man. What his personal life and stuff is. I just like that old boy. He just something else. He studied battling out there. So he's one of the things I wanted to talk about this coming Tuesday. So okay, see ya,
Sounds good.
see you, people. We are gone.